What happens when a US president gets a welcome fit for a king? Fighter jets slicing through the sky, a convoy of luxury cars, and a $400 million gift that might be illegal to accept. And it didn't stop there. On the runway, the red carpet was already rolled out not by protocol officers, but under the direct watch of Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani himself, and a red carpet entrance so extravagant it blurred the line between politics and royalty. The Emir of Qatar broke tradition to personally receive Trump, a move that stunned political analysts worldwide. This isn't a Hollywood fantasy, it's exactly what happened when Donald Trump landed in Qatar. So why did Qatar pull out all the stops? What made Trump so uniquely valuable? As Air Force One entered Qatar's airspace, 8 F-15 fighter jets soared into formation, escorting the president's plane like it was carrying royalty. No one had seen anything like it, and for good reason. This wasn't just hospitality. It was a power statement. Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar, stood at the foot of the stairs himself. In traditional diplomacy, such high-level receptions are rare. Heads of state typically delegate this role to their prime ministers, but not today. For Trump, protocol was the Emir was front and center, valued at $400 million. It's one of the most expensive diplomatic gifts in modern history, but according to US law, it's potentially unconstitutional. Gold mosaic ceilings, chandeliers the size of cars, and marble corridors guided Trump through a royal corridor of prestige. Every inch screamed influence and intent. Qatar's elite Emir Guard lined both sides. An elite unit of just 210 specially trained protectors. Behind the red carpets and rituals lay something more consequential: a pitch, a negotiation, and a deal that would become the centerpiece of Trump's Middle East tours. At the front, Tesla Cybertrucks modified exclusively by Qatar's Royal Protocol Division, shimmering under the desert sun. The precision and elegance of the vehicles hinted at something more than security. It was prestige on wheels. Flanking them, a squad of BMW R10 police bikes, riding in surgical formation. This was not security, it was choreography. Dressed in ceremonial white, with golden accents and guarded expressions, they represented more than security. Their presence was a symbol. Trump wasn't being treated like a president, he was being honored like a king. But this wasn't just a diplomatic courtesy. It was a calculated power play, and one no other US president had ever received in the Gulf. And why is Trump's growing empire in the Middle East raising so many eyebrows? The convoy also included GMC Yukons with tactical response teams, armored Chevrolet 3500 HD trucks equipped with satellite relays, and a final line of defense, a Ford F550 Cat with counter-assault capabilities. Qatar's own security fleet trailed behind, creating a seamless blend of American and Qatari muscle. We're talking about Tesla Cybertrucks turned diplomatic vehicles, a 40-vehicle convoy with Secret Service tech. Traditional Qatari guards on horseback and camelback formed a regal ring around the convoy. With swords raised high, they performed the Jamana Art of Qatar's cultural sword dance. The synchronized stomps, echoing chants, and flashing blades created a scene straight out of a legend. Then came the bombshell. A custom Boeing 747-8, outfitted like a flying palace, offered as a personal gift to Donald Trump. So what's really going on here? Was this a welcome for a world leader, or a transaction between businessmen in political suits? Let's dive into the story behind this trillion-dollar welcome and uncover the deals, the drama, and the danger buried beneath the gold trim. As Air Force One descended toward Hamad International Airport, the scene below looked more like a blockbuster than a diplomatic event. Above, 8 F-15 fighter jets from the Qatar Air Force thundered through the skies, flanking the president's aircraft with military precision. It wasn't just an escort, it was an airborne salute usually reserved for Hamad. Inside Air Force One, White House officials grabbed their phones, capturing every moment. Waiting on the tarmac was a sight that stunned even veteran diplomats. As the aircraft doors opened, a red carpet unfurled from the stairway all the way to the runway. The motorcade waiting to receive him was an exhibition of wealth, technology, and power. Then came the presidential limousines. Two beasts flanked by Chevrolet Suburbans loaded with encrypted communications, military-grade jammers, and emergency medical kits. As the motorcade moved toward Al Wiba Palace, the theatrics reached their peak. Then came the palace. Spanning over 200 acres, Al Wiba was a fortress of opulence. But all this grandeur wasn't just for show. The motorcade that carried President Donald Trump from Hamad International Airport to Al Wiba Palace wasn't just transportation. It was a choreographed display of wealth, security, and diplomatic symbolism. Leading the convoy was a sleek GMC Yukon Denali, followed by an Audi RS5 flashing tactical lights, serving both as escort and signal. This was no ordinary VIP movement. Then came the true Ike, built by Qatar's Royal Protocol Division. These matte black machines weren't just armored. They were armored art, gold-lined trim, reinforced bodies, military-grade tires, and embedded surveillance systems made them look futuristic and menacing. They moved like shadows, but every camera caught their gleam. Flanking them were 8 BMW R10 police bikes, each rider perfectly. Every motion, every lane change was timed to the second. These weren't just police. They were performers in a political ballet. 2 presidential limousines, armored fortresses on wheels, with a tinged thick steel plating, bulletproof tires, a sealed oxygen system. Inside rode elite, tactical teams ready to respond within seconds. The kind of deals that could shift the balance of trade, technology, and military alignment. In the Gulf, a massive order of 210 aircraft by Qatar Airways, encompassing both commercial and cargo jets, valued at a staggering $96 billion. It wasn't just Boeing's biggest ever deal, it was a historic benchmark for U.S. manufacturing exports. Signed by Qatar Airways CEO Bader Mohammed Al-Mir and Boeing CEO Kelly Oat. The agreement signaled more than just planes in the sky, it was about partnership and geopolitical leverage. The drone deal alone was pegged at $196 billion, reflecting an enormous deepening of military ties. Qatar signed multiple MOUs with American firms in quantum computing, AI-powered surveillance, and renewable energy grids. There were deals related to cyber defense, architecture, AI-assisted oil extraction, and American software systems being deployed across Qatari institutions. And a blood bank matching Trump's type on board. These vehicles were designed for survival in worst-case scenarios. According to its official briefing, this one contract would create or sustain 154,000 U.S. jobs per year, a golden figure for Trump, who constantly touted his business first, America first mantra. That number didn't just grab headlines, it shocked economists, diplomats, and competitors alike. This was not a regular diplomatic visit, it was a trade offensive. At the time, Qatar had only recently emerged from a political blockade by its neighbor Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt. By bringing Trump into its corner, Qatar was signaling to the world that it had the ultimate endorsement. The US president himself, it checked every political box: economic growth, domestic employment, and international prestige. These weren't just backup units, they were a mobile war room. Some of them, as we'll soon uncover, might have been for his own business empire. And as if that weren't enough, Qatar's special security force added another layers. UVs with local tactical units trained in rapid deployment. This wasn't just a motorcade, it was a moving message. It said Trump wasn't just visiting, he was being honored like a monarch, escorted like a head of an empire. What unfolded inside Al Weba Palace wasn't just ceremonial, it was strategic, calculated, and monumental. Second, it proved that even in turbulent times, U.S. business and defense sectors remained the gold standard for allies with deep pockets. Behind the ornate doors, beneath ceilings encrusted with gold, and among whispering corridors of power, President Trump and the Emir of Qatar weren't just exchanging pleasantries, they were redrawing the lines of economic diplomacy. And at the heart of the convoy were the beasts. Behind them, a fleet of U.S. Secret Service Suburbans roared with invisible tech, satellite communication hubs, secure uplinks, and encrypted radio frequencies. Further back, GMC Yukons and Chevrolet 3500 HDs were equipped with radar jamming tech, night vision systems, and secure relay stations. The last line of defense, a Ford F-550 Cat truck with advanced counter-assault capabilities, electronic warfare systems, and drone-neutralizing tools. All told, over 40 vehicles rolled through Doha in coordinated dominance. This visit was never about photo ops or cultural performances alone, it was about deals. Big ones. At the center of the business agenda stood Boeing, America's aerospace titan. The announcement, the White House wasted no time declaring victory. But that was just the beginning. Qatar also committed to purchasing MQ-9B drones, a fleet of next-generation unmanned aircraft equipped with advanced surveillance, strike, and intelligence capabilities. Beyond aviation and defense, the conversations extended into technology, cybersecurity, and energy. The scale of it all, a projected $1.2 trillion in long-term economic impact. For Trump, the visit served two critical functions. First, it painted him as a deal-maker capable of turning handshakes into historic contracts. But there was also an elephant in the room. Why was Qatar going this far? Why the extreme protocol, the royal reception, the symbolic dance, and the 40-car motorcade just to sign deals? Critics suggested that this wasn't just about economics, it was about survival and positioning. It was a soft power play of massive scale, a declaration that Qatar wasn't just Bakit, was taking the lead. But beneath the surface of this grand alliance, more personal stakes were simmering because not all of Trump's gains from this trip were for America. Some of them, as we'll soon uncover, might have been for his own business empire. Just when it seemed like Qatar had exhausted every tool of diplomacy, fighter fighter jets, royal guards, and trillion-dollar business deals that unveiled a final, stunning gesture, a personal gift. And not just any gift. The Emir of Qatar reportedly offered Donald Trump a Boeing 747-8 ultra-luxury jet originally built for the Qatari royal family, valued at more than $400 million. Silk-lined walls, gold-plated fixtures, handcrafted woodwork. It was less of an airplane and more of a diplomatic monument. But this wasn't your typical VIP aircraft. It was a flying palace. The interior featured 2 full bathrooms, 9 lavatories, a master suite, a guest bedroom, a private conference room, and multiple lounge areas, all finished in the most extravagant materials. The offering was historic. No U.S. president in history had ever received such a high-value diplomatic gesture. In a subsequent interview, he even questioned the condition of the current Air Force One fleet, saying, "That plane is 40 years old. Why are Gulf royals flying brand new jets while we're stuck with outdated junk?" And that's exactly where the controversy exploded. According to the Foreign Emoluments Clause of the U.S. Constitution, federal officials, including the president, are prohibited from accepting any gift, title, or benefit from a foreign state without express approval from Congress. The law exists to prevent foreign influence, bribery, or even the appearance of undue pressure. Beyond the official documents and camera-ready handshakes, there was something else unfolding during Trump's visit to the Gulf, something far more personal. But Trump didn't immediately decline the jet. And that trail led straight to the Trump Organization, because as Trump secured billion-dollar contracts as president, his private family business was simultaneously expanding in the exact same region. Was this royal welcome a reward for policy or an investment in long-term access? Could a foreign monarchy sway U.S. policy with an extravagant gift? Was this diplomacy or something more transactional? From the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Dubai to a luxury golf resort under construction in Duhowit, backing from Qatar. A sovereign wealth fund, as brand was booming in the Middle East. If they want to show appreciation, what's the issue? Others push back, insisting Trump had legally handed off control and had the right to benefit from global opportunities. Critics questioned whether Trump's influence was being sold, along with hotel keys. That one quote triggered a firestorm. Fighter jets, luxury convoys, billion-dollar deals, and a jet worth $400 million. What looked like a diplomatic tour might have been the most extravagant business meeting in history. That alignment, whether intentional or not, was impossible to dismiss. Legal scholars began debating whether even entertaining such a gift violated the Constitution. Congressional Democrats launched inquiries, pointing to a broader pattern of Trump potentially leveraging his presidency for personal advantage. Trump responded in typical fashion: "We give Qatar billions in contracts." But to critics, the issue wasn't appreciation, it was influence. Though the jet was never officially accepted, the fact it was offered down discussed serious ethical and legal questions that would shadow Trump long after wheels up from Doha. While the public was watching the spectacle, critics were following the business trail. According to multiple investigations, the Trump Organization had launched or revived high-end projects in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Oman, and Qatar. The timing was more than curious. How much overlap was there between Trump's presidential diplomacy and his private empire? Major outlets like CNN and NBC reported that Trump's sons, who managed the business during his presidency, had held meetings with developers and investors across the Gulf. Even some of Trump's supporters grew uncomfortable. "We elected a president, not a global brand ambassador," said one conservative commentator. Still, the optics couldn't be ignored. All 3 countries Trump visited and Qatar were the very same ones where his business was growing. And so the bigger question emerged: was Trump representing the American people or expanding the Trump brand on the world stage? For millions, the answer was less about legality and more about trust. Donald Trump's visit to Qatar wasn't just diplomacy yet. It was theater, strategy, and possibly something far more personal. Was it all just hospitality, or was it an investment in influence? As the lines between statecraft and self-interest blur, one thing becomes clear. In today's world, power is as much about perception as policy. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that dig deeper.